Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we'll be looking at, as you can see, some Gundams. And apparently since I've been doing this for about a year now, because apparently by the time I'm posting this, last week would have been my first ever video to YouTube. So I thought, like, why not throw back to the early days, essentially, with a semi-sequel, well, not a semi-sequel, but a review of a sequel series to one of my previous Gundam reviews, which is, as you can see here, all of these suits here are from a show called Gundam Zeta, which, this being the Gundam Mk2 AUG colors version, which is spelled AEUG, this being the Hyaku-Shiki, and this being the Zeta Gundam itself. So, if you don't know what Gundam is, it's essentially, what if a realistic, like, war story happened, but with giant robots in place of regular, like, vehicle armaments and such? Kind of, sort of, because there is some, like, actual, like, jets and tanks and such. It's just that these dominate, like, this, like, space battles, essentially. So, yeah. So, as you can see, with Zeta, with it being a sequel to the original Gundam series, there's a few, like, years apart. So you have this more angular, more, like, detailed looking design here, with, like, even in the molding, there's, like, these, like, tubes going on the legs, going up here where the beam sabers are stored, where, okay, that's actually really it, but as you can see, there's a bit more detail on this compared to, and a lot more darker and realistic looking compared to what could honestly be described as a, well, I wouldn't say kid's toy, but it's certainly colored like one, with, like, the primary blue, the bright blue, the yellow, the red, and all that. And while this takes, like, influences from this design, where there's, like, the same chest vents, the same, like, kind of similar head design, as you can see, with the kind of samurai-esque aesthetics to it, this one's a bit more realistic, more detailed version of this, with them coming out, I think the shows themselves coming out a few years apart. And while the RX-78 here started everything, I would say kind of got popular with, like, Zeta, I think. Correct me in the comments. Speaking of which, I'll have the entire Gundam, like, reviews that I have done linked in the comments below. Do note they are pretty old, so do be wary. Well, I say do. I say that, but I'm just saying I've evolved since then. So, yeah. So, as you can see, very much a update here, with this being the Mark II versus the Mark I. So, yeah. So, what to do next? So, why don't we talk, like, and here's the, sorry, I just brain fog for half a second, but yeah, let me get these two out of the way for the moment, so we can talk about articulation and its accessories, because this guy can't transform, but the Zeta here can, as you can see, it being in its Wave Rider form. So yeah, and we'll talk more about this when I get to it, because while it is the namesake of the show, it doesn't appear till about halfway, I think, because I watched the show with my dad, like, a while ago at this point, and for the longest time, the Zeta Gundam just hadn't made an appearance, and then suddenly it was a thing. I don't know. So, yeah. So, just like every other Gundam that exists, he comes with the basics. He comes with a sword, which are the beam sabers up here. He comes with a gun, which is the beam rifle, a shield, and which is like the bare bones basics plus a bazooka here. And do note, the gun and the bazooka are not colored correctly, apparently. So if you take a look at the instruction manual here, that it's not even on camera, that as you can see, they're not really color accurate because these come on the same sprue that the hands, the Vulcan pods, and the other joints of the kit are. So I mean, it kind of sucks, but then again, I don't really care that much. Like, while painting it would not be that hard, you just need to, like, mask off and then just get some, like, gunmetal and white and all that. I honestly do not have the time to do a complete repaint overhaul for just what are essentially accessories that a person may or may not display with them. So yeah. So, and speaking of which, you can take this off, which are essentially is like Vulcan pods, which on the original are integrated in the head, the little yellow segments on the forehead. When instead on this guy, they're not there at all in place of a yellow V-fin. So to compensate, they made this little Vulcan pod thing. I think that's what it's called. Annoyingly, the instructions are in Japanese, but the pictures do help in the construction of the model kit. So yeah. And also all the color here that you see, this red, the green, on both this and on the kits that you're going to see in these videos, or in this video, are all painted on. Same thing goes with the yellow here because it would be stickers otherwise. And speaking of which, let me show you. Yeah, like this is the sticker sheet that you get with the set, where like all the metallic green. I did use the stickers for the eyes because I did not want to paint those, and then the yellows parts for the shield. So yeah, so just like you can get like a Gundam marker set for both metallic and just flat colors, which is what I used for this, and for what I used for the other two kits in this review, because honestly, I don't care for stickers because they tend to peel off over time. The only exception I always use is the eye stickers because those are like two colors with the whatever metallic color the eyes are and then the black surrounding it. So yeah, as you can see, and also they just have a nice reflective quality to them because whilst the green here in all the cameras here are painted on thanks to a green metallic Gundam marker, I don't know how well that would be for the eyes because they're essentially just under, like, well, not enough light can get to them, if that makes any sense. So yeah. So for his accessories, he does come with his beam rifle, he comes with a shield, bazooka, the Vulcan pods, the beam sabers, which are up here and difficult to get, annoyingly. You kind of have to get your fingernail underneath here to, I would say, pry them out carefully, so that way you don't risk breaking anything. And the beams are separate. Just get them out at the moment. So yeah. So, and then you can just go in the hand and just like that. So yeah, they're basically the lightsabers of the franchise, if that makes any sense. Like, well, legally distinct, I should say. So yeah. So he does have two of them. The other one on here can come off, and there is another beam for it, but I personally don't display them with holding two beam sabers because I feel like that kind of ruins the silhouette, if that makes any sense. And also the shield can come off and also can separate and then collapse, because I think that was a function in the show. I don't know why, maybe for storage, because This adapter here essentially is what holds it onto the side of the arm, but there is another adapter that can have it be on the back of the arm. Just like that. But you can also take off this cap here at the back, then use the port to store the shield on the back if you want to. I personally will probably keep the shield on for the rest of the time this guy's going to be on the shelf, but hey, you do it. You do you. Also, the red here is painted, and so is this little green dot. So you can't take the backpack off, but, well, for some Gundam kits, there is compatibility between other kits, depending on what connections they have. You're not going to use this backpack with anything other than the Mk2 here, but he is compatible with other kits that have like a backpack like this. So yeah. And then he just has a regular rifle here with a opening, with like a second grip, I think that's what it is, that you can pose him holding it two-handed. It just takes some finagling to make it look like he's holding it. There we go. See, just like that. Now let me get this out of his hands. So yeah, the best way to get the guns essentially out of their hands is taking off the back of their like fist. So yeah. And then it comes with a bazooka, which has one thing of articulation, which is just at the handle, just a hinge. So you can get it like propped on the shoulder and then, I don't know. Also, they advertise that you can use the tabs here and store the beam rifle on the hip, which kind of works, but it is like, why is this an advertised feature? Like, it just looks awkward and it bumps into the chest, and the moment you move the chest, it just pops off. And then sometimes the fists do come off because you don't get any pre-posed hands with these. So, well, with this kit specifically, you get what you see currently on the ground here is what you get. So yeah, and now let's move on to articulation. Let me just get everything here out of the way. So yeah, for articulation, he has a ball joint at the head. He can do a full 360, can look up that far, and can look down that far. There is a hinge at the neck, so you can make him look up a little bit farther. But annoyingly, the back of the head bumps into the collar here, which is pretty annoying. Like, I mean, you can shave it down if you want to, but I'm probably not, because I don't want to break it. I say this as he falls face forward. So yeah. So, and he does have an ab crunch. You get like forward that far, and then get a little bit of side to side, but you can get a bit more, assuming you don't pop him off the poly cap. Arms can go out that far, can do a full 360. Full 360 at the bicep, double jointed at the elbow, ball joint at the wrist. You can get a partial waist rotation, but if you do pull it up a little bit, you can get a bit more. Legs can go forward that far, can't go back that far because of the butt flap. Also, this hook does open up, so that way you can store the bazooka back here, kind of like how I had it in the beginning of the review. Legs can go out that far. There is there? Ah, yes. The hips can rock side to side. I don't know why, but I mean, that is an option. The side skirts here on just a polycap, where they can just hinge out and rotate a little bit back and forth. Hip skirts are on ball joints. There is a full rotation here at the thigh, double jointed at the knee. You can get a little bit over 90. The ankle can go back and forward that far, while the rest is on a ball joint and nothing at the feet. So, great articulation for a honestly good starter kit, in my opinion. So yeah, and now take a look at the second kit well, the second main mobile suit, which is, and it's technically not a Gundam, even though it looks like a Gundam, because things that look like Gundams but aren't actually labeled as Gundams are annoyingly common in the series. Speaking of which, Hyaku-Shiki. Like this looks kind of like a Gundam. Like if you were to look at this like at first glance without knowing anything of the series, you could say this is a Gundam, but technically it's not. It's something completely different. Well, it is a mobile suit, but it's not a Gundam because, I don't know, it just doesn't fall under that branch. So yeah. And also, this kit is a bit more complicated than the Mark II, mostly in the fact that all this gold that you see here is undergated, meaning that, like, you see that nub right there? Right where my fingertip is? That means that's where it connected to the sprue, and I didn't cut that little piece underneath it, because there's a version of this kit that is gold plated, that essentially makes it look, all the gold here look like gold chrome. And because of the, sprue that you're cutting this off of would be gold chrome, they didn't want to essentially deal with little spots of the, sprue showing that, oh, this was built and this doesn't really match the suit completely, because there'd just be tiny sections where you could see what the plastic underneath looks like. So they undergated it, meaning they put these spots where the parts would connect on the sprue underneath the parts, so that way it wouldn't be visible completely. There are some visible spots, I think, on the just regular dark plastic. Yeah, like right here where my fingertip is. But for the gold, it was gold plated, meaning that, you wouldn't have any nubs, at least on the gold parts. At least none that were completely visible. So yeah. But I think that was an old exclusive kit. That was like you have to go to Japan to get it, or hopefully get a cheap reseller on eBay or something. So yeah. So for his accessories, he just comes with a beam saber, his regular two holding hands, and some other stuff. These are the beam saber beams. He comes with a bazooka, which you can store, which does have just a hinge here at the handle, which can store back here on the backpack in either side here, just like that. And it does come with two alternate hands in the forms of just fists, no widespread open hands. And also some decals. I think they're supposed to go on the shoulders, but I haven't really applied them because I don't remember seeing them in the animation. So back into the bag they go. Then also you do get some alternate eye stickers, which I think this is to show that it's scanning, and this is just to show not active or something. I don't know what the blank face is for, but yeah, there are options for this, and you don't really get any other plastic parts to replace them. So yeah. So, and also for this gun here, you have to take the back of the thing off, back of the hand off to get it out of his hand, and then you can put the bazooka in. Come on, there we go. So yeah, he can hold it pretty well. So yeah, and also he has the beam sabers right here on the butt flap, which you just take off, put into his hand, just like so, and place this here to give it the look that it's active, and then boom. Get this guy on a flight stand, and then there's your action pose. So yeah. So for his articulation, start with the backpack here. These little wing things are on ball joints in the backpack, and also a rotation here, but they are pretty loose out of the box, so I did tighten them up a bit, but I think I might have made them too tight, but honestly, I don't mind. And also there is a hinge here, so you can display it like that, I guess. Ball joint at the neck, can do a, well, you can do a full 360, it's just that you might, actually, no, you can only really get it looking that far without hitting some resistance. Even then, there's a hinge here at the neck. And then the shoulders. The shoulders can go inward slightly, so that's pretty nice. Full rotation. Arms can go out that far. There is a bicep swivel, double bend at the elbow, and then the wrists are on ball joints. There is a ab crunch, which is pretty nice. It's not much, but hey, it does work. Waist rotation, it's pretty much unlimited. And for the legs, they can go forward that far and can go back that far and out that far. Same like hip rocking mechanism like it was on the Mk2. You don't get that much in terms of thigh rotation due to how the armor is done, and also the things can move. Ball joints double jointed at the knee, then the ankle can go forward and back and is on a ball joint. And that is all of the Hyaku-Shiki's articulation, and honestly, really good kit. Same thing goes with the Mk2, but I would be careful of the undergating, and there being some fragile parts here like this antenna. So yeah, and also pretty small parts in the form of these like red tubings here, so do be careful. So yeah, that was the Hyaku-Shiki, and now we'll take a look at the namesake of the series, that being the Zeta. And as you can see here, it doesn't look like a traditional Gundam, which is the reason why is this is its Wave Rider form. Essentially, it's space jet mode, which is pretty cool, but this being a high grade, one of the, well, I wouldn't say one of the least complicated, like, in terms of model kits from Gundam, but it is one of the more easier ways to get into the hobby. So, yeah. So, but this was part of the, I think it was called the, like Gundam Evolution Project, I think, which is where they're just doing different ways to do different Gundams, with this being transformable in a sense that you have to take it apart to put it into each mode, and the reason why is this is the core of the Zeta Gundam. It's just the head, the body, and then like the waist. So yeah, this is all, like, the rest of the parts are here. So if you want the Wave Rider and the like Gundam itself, you're gonna have to get two of these, or get this kit, have it for the Wave Rider form, and I don't know, get the old high grade, I guess. But there are pros and cons to that, because as you can see here, this is the sticker sheet for the Zeta. So all of this red right here, like on both sides here, is all stickers. So, but the only reason that they aren't stickers here is because I painted them. and I didn't want to deal with stickers that would wrap around edges, which is also, the only way to display this in its flight form is to get one of these old action bases. I think this is like an action base 5? I could be wrong, but correct me in the comments. Like, I know you just need one of these older, like, ones to, like, give it the illusion that it's flying. But if you don't have it, there is a way to display it on the ground, and that is thanks to the Hyper Mega Launcher, which is such a goofy name, but, like, there are goofier Gundam names out there, trust me. So yeah, so like you get these alternate pieces here in the form of landing gear that you can attach to the, like, what is essentially the bazooka for this Gundam. Then just place it into this hole here. So boom, just like that. Have it on the ground. That's pretty much all you can really do with the like with the Wave Rider mode, because it doesn't really do much else. Like, you can detail it, like all these like reds and the thrusters that I painted, the silver up here, and all of this red. It took a few coats to make it not look like clear red over black plastic, which I had to wait overnight for it to dry. Which is one of the things you're probably going to deal with in this hobby, is just paint taking way too long. But yeah, to get this guy into his like Gundam mode, you have to start disassembling. Then you collapse that, fold the wings, and then you can take off the legs. And then take off the shield here. Then you can use this adapter here, plug that into the hole right there. And also I think you can collapse it like that, I think, for robot mode, but this is just like part of the accessories. And then take off the butt flap, take off the side skirts, take off the giant wing segments that tab in 2 places. Come on, there we go. Tab in right here and here. Then also push. Come on, there we go. Push that in. Do the same thing on the other side. Then take off these 2 pieces here. And take off the red nose cone section. Then we can take this bit off. Take off this. Then we can take the arms out of all that. And also you can just put this back on, because this was the core of the Wave Rider a few seconds ago. And now we have to rebuild it all onto this. So yeah, the first things first, add the back piece back on, add the, I don't know what this thing is technically called, I guess like the rudder, I don't know. And then we can put the chest piece back on, nose cone there. Excuse me. Plug in the chest, like that, in that order. Put the side skirts back on. Put the butt flap back on. And put on the backpack. Plugging these into this hole right here where my thumb is. Sorry, trying to get it in the glare so you can see it. And plug it in on both sides, just like that. And then time for the legs, which are one of the more complicated bits of this, where you have to carefully pull the feet out without popping the foot off and then fold it down. Detach that, rotate all of this around, and then you just put it like that in this specific angle. So that way it can still function as a knee. Do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Now you can attach this onto the hips. And the arms, pay attention to which fist has which. Like, this is the right arm here. So then you can just attach it onto the ball joint, fold that out, and then do the same thing on the other side. And here we have the Zeta Gundam in its Gundam mode. And it is quite the difference visually compared to its Wave Rider form, where that one was just sleek, aerodynamic looking. Here we have a, I would say beefy, but I don't know what else to say about it. So yeah, here it is compared to the Hyaku-Shiki. And here it is compared to the Mk2. So a little bit taller than both. Pretty cool. Where I think in the show, spoilers slightly, they take the design from this to help build the Zeta, and also take parts from an extra like Mk2 Gundam they had to essentially fast track this thing's construction, which is pretty cool. But yeah, but as a kit on its own, it is good. It sets out what it wants to do. It is a bit weird in some of the qualities. I don't know if it's my kit, but I had to shave like the shoulder ball joints here quite a bit because moving the arms got it like super stuck to the point where extend the shoulder out. If you can see that big stress mark there, that bent before I could move the shoulders forward. Even then, I have to, apparently that fell off. That's a first. Weird. But like essentially the joint that the arm shoulder bit was on would bend before I could move the arm forward. Like, it was weird. Like, and it made me not want to mess with this guy as much as I wanted to. Like, I had to do it for both shoulders because even on this one, like, you see, like, the shoulder inside is moving before the actual shoulder. Like, I had to shave it down to get it to essentially stop sticking to itself. But yeah, we're going to go over articulation for this guy first before we get into the accessories, because he does have a lot of accessories. So yeah, so at the head, there is a hinge at the base of the neck, and then the head itself is on a ball joint. Its collar does bump into the head a bit, so trying to get it to turn its head makes it do that. The shoulders here are on a hinge with plus ball joint. The arms can go out that far, and then because it'll also just bump into the head, and also these will collapse in on you a lot. There is a bicep swivel, double jointed bend at the elbows, ball joints at the wrists. Also a little functionality here. These little doors here can flip out and revealing grenades, essentially. It's pretty cool. The waist can do an ab crunch, which is pretty nice. can go rock side to side, and can do a full waist rotation, which surprises me. The button flaps are on hinges, but they are connected and there's no way to separate them, so they're just conjoined like this. The hips are on ball joints and the side skirts are on hinges and, well, whatever is holding on to them. Legs can go forward that far, can go back that far if you move everything out of the way. There is a thigh rotation, you don't get much. The knees are double jointed, so you can get a bit over 90. Feet are on ball joints. There is a dedicated ankle joint in there, but you're going to get most of the movement out of the actual ball joints that the foot connects to, and then the toes can point downward. Okay, give me a second. I don't know why that keeps falling out now. I'm probably just going to super glue it after I finish this review. But yeah. So, for his accessories, he does come with the standard armaments, basically being a sword, board, and beam rifle. The board, or shield in this case, can attach to the arm here, which was the nose cone. And then the beam rifle here can attach to the underside of the arm, like this, kind of how it was stored in the Wave Rider mode. But you can also flip that in, fold out the handle, and then extend the rifle. Then boom, there you have the beam rifle, which is pretty cool. And also, you can use the beam sabers here. These don't store anywhere on the actual mobile suit compared to the other two in this review, but you can take one of the beams and then put it into the barrel of the gun to give it both the illusion that it's firing something, and also, because in the show you could use the rifles as beam sabers, essentially, which is pretty cool. You can do the same thing for the Hyper Mega Launcher, which is such a mouthful of the name after you take off the support struts. You see, like, even then, you can get, it's touching, it's pretty much, almost out of frame if I hold it like this. So, yeah. And whoa. So, yeah. While these kits don't require super glue, there are elements that are honestly could do with some super gluing, if that makes any sense, because either they fall off or there is some sort of just problem to where they won't go back on. So yeah, also you can flip out the handles here on the Hyper Mega Launcher. So you can also have it be in either hand because there's handles on both sides. But yeah, to go off that. It is very cumbersome, and honestly, I'd recommend getting a stand for this because it is pretty heavy. But the kit can hold it, but it's not going to stand up with it. No, it doesn't stand up with it. Whoa. That's first, actually. But yeah, it's not something I'm going to display of this guy, honestly, but it's cool that this kit has it. Essentially the complete, loadout. And also, yeah, he can hold the beam sabers. Pretty loosen hands, but hey, you can't hold them. And there's also one more accessory. Well, two more, I should say. Set that down. That being these parts here. Canonically, they are essentially more grenades because it's like essentially an extended magazine, if that makes any sense. So yeah. But you can't mount the shield or anything else on the arms because, well, they're in the way. So yeah. So honestly, a good kit, but there are going to be some learning curves with this one because it is way more complicated and way more complicated to paint as well because a lot of the like the yellow here, the yellow on the shoulders here, on the arms, and then the red on here on the back are all stuff that I painted, and like the orange was annoyingly like I kind of got the color matching right compared to the plastic, but it's not completely. But so yeah. But this is a good kit, and I do recommend it if you like this design and you don't want to get a bigger version of this kit, because there are bigger versions that are more complicated but more expensive. So if you just want a small, nice display piece, I say go for this. And if you like the rest of the series, then honestly, I say go for like the Zeta kits, because like Zeta high grades, I should say. But yeah, that has been my review for, well, the Zeta trio, I guess I could say. So, like, comment, subscribe, all those fun doodads. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and this is me signing out. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye. Why did I say that?